Welcome, folks, to another episode of the Open Source Entrepreneur. I am Casey Green, and this is Jimmy Norlander, who's always on the move. Jimmy's out serving family tonight like he does, so thank you for carving out some time with us in between family duty, Jimmy, to be with us and drop some knowledge. Let's just dive right into it. You ready? I'm going to come at Jimmy with one of my favorite episodes, a take it or leave it. This is something that Jimmy has no idea what I'm about to talk about, and I have to convince him, or rather he has to decide if he wants to take or leave this particular thing. So I don't know, Jimmy, if you've been following what I'm going to call the debacle that is Southwest right now. Have you heard much about the Southwest debacle going on?
Is this the assigned seating?
Yes, so there's multiple things that's literally gutting the identity of who Southwest is. So their current CEO, his name is Robert Jordan, has done a handful of things the last couple months that really is the epitome of who Southwest is. It's their identity, right? So he went in and he said, okay, listen, we're going to actually no more open seating. So we're gonna make you choose assigned seating, right? Which to some people, yes, give it or take it. If you're not used to flying Southwest, maybe you're like, okay, perfect. I'm totally in on that. I'm good to go, whatever. But then he really went for the jugular and he said, we're going to take away what I consider to be their last kind of competitive advantage. He said, we're going to take away the 2 free bags, like taking that away. Now, my family is one who, since my kids were little, have flown Southwest because we traveled. We had a goal to visit all 50 states. And Southwest was a major carrier for us to get to all those 50 states. We did so because when they were little, they have all sorts of things you have to throw in their bags. So for us, we're like, we needed the bags, right? We had to have them to make sure we got everything to all those states with us. But I'm really intrigued to know, Jimmy, this CEO came in. He's only been in, I think, since like 2002. So not very long. This is a CEO that's come in and he's kind of rearranged everything, their identity, who they are, doing it probably to stay financially solvent, to make sure they don't like get run into the ground and that they continue to make money. But this type of a CEO, are you going to take him or leave him? Like, this guy's coming in, stripping identity, changing everything. Is this a power play on his behalf? Is he trying to serve shareholders? What do you think he's trying to do? And are you taking or leaving this mentality of coming in and just completely shifting culture on how they're operating in general?
Well, I'm going to take it just because culture sometimes needs to be shaken a little bit. You know, you can only get, it's like you said, you got the 2 free bags all the time. Everyone's doing it. But if you're a business, you know, there's got to be a meaning behind it. So my guess is if they want to stay competitive, they got to have some extra tax dollars, or not tax, well, probably tax dollars, but extra money coming through to help survive. And the airline needs all the help that it can get right now. And
Okay, so
people
you think
adjust to change too.
that's true. Eventually, this will probably be if. So I'm going to say if they survive this, because I do think it's cut deep enough. And maybe it's just because the algorithm I'm stuck in, but I'm seeing people just blasting Southwest, saying, "I'm never flying again. Thank you for saving me, $100 on my credit card every month. I no longer need this thing. I was only taking it because of like my points." Oh, that was another thing they did is they took their frequent flyer points and like slashed them. So it used to be like X amount of points per dollar spent, and they slashed it and made it really, really difficult to get to have your points account for anything. And this is something we used to use a lot as a family. We'd say, okay, we'll buy stuff on credit card, pay it off, but we knew we'd get those miles. That helped us travel a bunch, which is one of the things that we enjoy doing. And so I'm going to say that like this is going to be a pivotal moment for Southwest. I do think they're going to renegotiate on a couple of these things and really try to bring that culture back to Southwest, because they were known for being kind of a not only budget friendly, but they brought a lot of fun into their services. We just flew to Hawaii on Southwest, and there was a little girl who had a birthday, and they made like a birthday cake for her. Like they brought her a birthday cake, and the whole plane sang to her, and just did some really cool things from a cultural perspective. I think now what you're going to see is the people who remain flying on Southwest, because really, as I price match, they're not that much cheaper than everybody else. So some of these things were competitive advantages, like free bags and open seating, because then my family could all sit together very easily. And so I think it's a pivotal moment. They may survive this. I think in order to survive this, they're going to actually can the CEO, and he's going to be the martyr, and they're going to bring somebody back in that builds us up. So I'm going to leave it. I think the guy's done. I think they're toast. I could be wrong. We'll see who's right in a little bit, Jimmy or myself. One of us is going to be right. One's going to be wrong. But I think culture is such a huge identity in what you build as a business. And people will do a lot of business with you because they resonate with your culture. Think about like your Nikes, your Apple, right? This is a culture. You're creating a community. They were creating a community of people who love to fly, who love to have adventure on the cheap. And they just went through and said, you know what? Now there's really no reason to fly with us. We're the same price as everybody else. We don't give you any bennies. Like, so I think they're going to go down. The only way they save this is by axing this guy and bringing in somebody new.
See,
That's my hot take.
I think if they do save it, it's going to be more, okay, we'll bring back a bag, or they up some type of a little bit of a fee.
Yeah.
It might be a checkout fee. Delta did this last year with their points, where they got rid of the Sky Miles, they got rid of, like a certain amount of points that you could get upgraded to different classes. They upped their fees, and I remember reading the comments like, "I'm done, I'm done, I'm done, I'm done," and Delta's still
Yeah.
going strong.
Who knows? It may be a blip. It may be a blip, but I think I think he's in trouble. I think he gets ushered out with some sort of a massive settlement, whatever, from the company, and they bring in somebody new to kind of save everything, right? But it will probably look a little different than it does now. Okay, love it, Jimmy. Here's my quote of the week. This is a little bit longer one, but this is one from Alex Hermosi that really resonated with me. And I think as we jump into today's guest with Atreus, you're going to see why. Atreus is somebody who does not settle, who is not comfortable ever. And let me tell you why this is important. So this is a quote that really resonated. It said, "Comfort is the silent killer of every big decision in life." It comes. Sorry, let me start over. Comfort is the silent killer every big decision in life comes down to. The life you want versus the comfort you have, and the painful reality of it is that discomfort never ends as long as you are continually challenging yourself. So as long as you want to keep growing, you have to get comfortable in the fact that you will always feel like you're losing. You will always feel like you're not enough, and you will always feel like you have skills that you lack because you do. And so most people pick comfort, but your dreams live on the other side of discomfort if you're willing to pay the price and go through it.
Agree. Amen.
I could not resonate more with that. Everything, all of my really cool level ups in life have been after I've gone through a massive period of discomfort, after a period where I didn't have the skills to make something happen. And sure enough, sure as the day is long, if you want something bad enough, you will find a way to do that. I'm working with a client right now on a personal coaching side of things, and they are stuck in a particular spot. I know, I can see that everything that they want is on the other side of this very uncomfortable decision. They have to make it and they have to go. And we're setting goals to help them make that, but they have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think most entrepreneurs feel that way. I see Lonnie on right now, and I know that Lonnie, as he broke out and started his own business, he was uncomfortable doing some of the things. He has learned since how to deal with a lot of the minutia and a lot of the BS that comes along with being an entrepreneur, and is beginning to thrive. And he says, I hate that feeling. And I get it, Lonnie. I totally get it. Jimmy, you felt the same way. I guarantee every time you went to open up a new location, there was some discomfort in that. Am I going to get enough clients? Am I going to bring in the right therapist to fill that? It's an uncomfortable situation. But everything that we want is on the other side of that comfort. We have to
Correct.
be discomfortable. Did I make up a
Yeah.
word? Discomfortable?
It is not today. And it's what changes us. You know what I mean? If we're just comfortable the whole time, then we're just lazy. We're not growing.
Yeah, I agree. And we've talked about that before, so I don't want to beat it to death, but I thought that was really, really apropos for what we're about to talk about, because this is a gentleman, Atreus, that I met. It's probably been, I'd have to ask for sure, but probably been at least 3 years, maybe 4 years ago. I met him actually when I worked for a previous company that was all about mindset. It was all about grabbing your next gear in life. It was about, securing a financial future. And we rolled out a couple of different programs that Atreus and his wife just jumped on and they ran. And it's yielded some beautiful fruit for them. And so I'm really excited to talk a little bit about him, but I do want to bring him on. But as I'm bringing him on, let's see if I can do both at the same time. I want to read him in with kind of his bio that he has, so that you guys understand a little bit about who he is. So today's guest, I'm going to say, is nothing short of extraordinary. From performing as a professional circus acrobat to building multiple successful businesses, Atreus Trygg is truly where it's at. That's his coin phrase, where it's at, right? AT. He's the mastermind behind Cirque Orenda, an awe-inspiring circus production company. Melty, a brand bringing innovation products to market through their grilled cheese to their restaurants. And Atrubein, a company he created for the world's healthiest personal care products. On top of that, Atreus is diving deep in the world of crypto trading and building his personal brand, which is what I said, where it's at, right? Which revolves around health, fitness, entrepreneurship, and living an extraordinary life. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if that wasn't enough, please welcome Atreus Trygg. Atreus, welcome to Open Source Entrepreneur, my friend.
Casey,
All right,
how's it going?
before we start, I'd have to say, if I would have known he was so dang good looking, we probably wouldn't have had him on the podcast. But at least our viewership's going to go up from here.
We do have a rule that we don't bring on people more attractive than us, and we just broke that rule. Like, so it's really
Which doesn't,
difficult.
I mean, which every guest is more attractive than us,
Yeah,
but that's okay.
that's true. Sometimes it's a low bar, but we are absolutely thrilled to have Atreus with us. Like I said, I've known him for a handful of years, and every time I meet him, I'm filled with vigor, passion. He has such a love for life, and I'm excited to just fillet open all of your business ventures and like just lay it on the table because it is super cool. So welcome to the Open Source Entrepreneur, my friend.
Guys, how's it going? Thank you so much. Hey, thank you for that compliment, my friend. But through my eyes, I really believe that everyone has their own passion, has their own beauty. So we always have to just look a little bit more than skin deep than what it is. So, but guys, this is going to be exciting. This is fun. I'm glad that it's this topic: entrepreneurship, growth, mindset, how we can all, push the boundaries of just being extraordinary. Sometimes I feel like that we get trapped in this bubble that we like to call the matrix, and we just kind of feel like we're just running in circles. And it's, if you can't break past the mindset of what we've been instilled since we were kids and all the things that just keep coming up, and we're like, oh, I think we could debunk that, we could probably debunk that. And if you can just get past a few good solid debunkings, then you can really just start to ask the question, like, what is it, what are the possibilities, and what are the capabilities that we can actually push forward, so that we're not going to just be doing the same thing every single day and running through this rat race. But I guess you could even say, once you get into the world of entrepreneurship, I find myself doing a lot of the same things every single day. I wake up, I do my work, I go to the gym, I come home, hang out with my family, and I repeat that same cycle. But I do it for a greater purpose, and that's
Yes.
really where it's at.
And it really is. And the amount of lives that you've been able to bless through this is absolutely extraordinary. I first met you actually through one of our events that we were doing at the time. You came in with your beautiful wife, Christy, and you got on stage. And I didn't even know you were circus performers at the time. And they got up there kind of like an in-between like hype cycle. They were doing some acrobatic stuff. And I'm watching him throw Christy around. He throws her up and like within inches of the ground, catches her. And I'm like, freaking out because I'm running the event. I'm like, I'm gonna have to call the paramedics. Like, I didn't know them. I didn't know their background. I was freaking out. So that was kind of my first experience with Atreus. Talk to us. Like, let's start there. How did you get into? Now, I don't know if I'm saying the name right. Is it Cirque or Orenda? How do you say that appropriately? What's the exact name?
Orenda.
Orenda. So how
Cirque
did you get into
Orenda.
Cirque Orenda? Like, how did you get into acrobatics? How did you get into the kind of the circus lifestyle? And explain what that is to people who just don't know.
Yeah, well, I think I had just been naturally gifted from when I was a child. I saw my uncle do a backflip in the yard. Me at 10 years old, I was like, monkey see, monkey do. I'm going to do it. And I just full send it. My whole family's like, oh my gosh, like, who is this crazy kid that we just have sprung onto the world? But no, I mean, even through high school, parkour, jumping off buildings, doing flips, doing tricks. I dabbled a little bit in gymnastics. I coached a lot of it.
Okay.
But really, it started to take off. I went to the Liberty Park down in Salt Lake City, and I was looking for the slack line. You know,
Oh yeah.
the
Yeah, yeah.
slack lines where they walk all the way across the mountaintops. I'm like, I want to do that. But I saw this couple that they were doing this weird stuff on the ground, and I was like, what is that? It looked like, they call it acro yoga.
Okay.
And I go up and I was like, what are you guys doing? Like this looks fun. And she's like way shorter than me, and she lifts me, hoists me all the way off the ground. And ever since then, I was hooked. I started going back to that park every Sunday, started getting connected with the acro yoga community, learning how to communicate with humans non-verbally is such a magical experience. Being able to just know if there's a slight subtle a shift in body movement, knowing exactly what the other person's thinking, where the exact person's going. Obviously, voice is very important, but when you get to that space of nonverbal communication, and with the slightest look, you know exactly what the person is thinking, and you're going to full send the trick. So I got connected with a studio. It was called Route to Rise down in Farmington. Now it just brand new launched out of Trolley Square, called the Salt Lake City Circus Center.
Okay.
So being able to be there, that's where I met Christy. We were able to, it was actually our first, we kind of knew each other a little bit, but there was a fundraiser we were doing for a friend of ours. She had breast cancer, unfortunately. We raised over $10,000 for her that night. But Christy had a partner. They were putting together this act, putting together this routine, and he bailed like a week before. He's like, oh, Got to go to Vegas. See you later. So she looked at me and she's like, you're strong. Do you want to learn this? So never touching the aerial silks. I learned a duo acrobatic aerial silks routine in less than a week. We spent every day together for that whole week. We performed it that night with so much drive and passion. It was centered around an abusive relationship, so I'm sure like the crowd was just bawling.
Yeah.
And we fell in love that night, and that's the night that we were inseparable. And we started getting booked for gigs and getting paid to go and just do what we loved. And we're like, they're like, do you know these people? Do you know like fire breathers and jugglers and stilt walkers and all these other cool acrobats who flips? And we're like, let's just like start a business. You know, I think that would be pretty cool. So once we started the business, we were able to travel from Canada to Florida, putting on shows, entertaining people, getting paid to do what we love. And then 2020 happened, and that's when everything changed.
Yeah. Yeah. Just shut everything down on you.
Shut everything down. There was no gigs. Christy works in the hospital, so she was still able to work, pay for the bills. But then that's when I was able to sit down and be like, okay, like I've heard of diversification. I've heard of getting property and making multiple sources of income. Like, if we can't do the biz, like, what do I do from now on? So that's when I dove in. I took a whole probably 2 years or so trying to like dive into books and reading and outsourcing and connecting with people and talking. And then that's when I found the Chris Crone community. After reading my first real estate book was Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah, staple.
Yeah, staple, you know, Think and Grow Rich, all the ones that really help you pull back the curtain and be like, you know, what's on the other side of the day-to-day stuff.
Yep.
So getting connected, yeah, through that community, it was a wonderful experience. I didn't know how many limiting beliefs that I had revolved around money, because the rich are evil, and you know, money's the root of all evil, and if you have too much, then you're just, you know, show boasting and all that good stuff. So being able to break that down was so relieving, and being able to believe, like, physically I'm capable, but then I didn't know how much more mental capacity it took to go into the entrepreneur space, because like doing what you love is easy, but then when there's a road, because like circus, it's fun business, right? I just get to go and have fun. But then when you get met with an opportunity that's like, well, this is actually like big business, this is like real business, this is sitting down, this is like you gotta produce, and if you don't produce, you get nothing.
Yep.
So being able to manifest that and marinate on that for a little while was incredible. And that's when I was able to go ahead.
So let me back up just a little bit, because like you're now transitioning a little bit. You still do quite a bit of acrobatic stuff. You still do the circus things. Before we really pass on to that, because I am super fascinated. The first time I saw your group show up, I was astounded at the strength. I was astounded at the variety of things that happen. I mean, you casually kind of glanced over it, but we are talking like fire breathers, fire dancers. You got the silk stuff. You've got what are the big orbs called that people sit in, like the big metal?
Yeah, there's a plethora of, we call them apparatuses. There's a plethora of apparatuses that are out there.
And these guys showed up, and I'm not kidding, made just an elegant, beautiful experience out of a big boxy event center. And they just brought, you said, you know, that first performance, you had people crying. I think every time I've seen you guys perform, people are just in awe about the skill and agility. There are certainly going to be, and this is one question we love to ask, there are certainly going to be kids out there or people out there watching saying, I have a unique skill set. I am a heck of a tumbler. I can do silks. I can do whatever. What is, and you know, you said you were doing this for fun, which is always a bonus. But talk to people a little bit about the money involved, the potential revenue you can make in kind of this world. Like, is this just a really solid part-time gig for most people? Or is it something where you're like, if I dedicate and I was like loyal into this thing, I could find enough shows to maintain a lifestyle?
We have a lot of people that perform full-time.
Okay.
You can get paid. Like I've been paid like over $1,000 for 2 hours just to be able to hang out and just sit there. And then they give you tips on the side. But it is a hustle, and it does wear into you. I mean, fire breathers, you could probably show up to a gig for an hour and get paid $250 for the hour. So you can go to corporate events. You can get paid up to $500-$600 just to be there for a couple hours. So you have to, though, realize that you have to be on your game, and you have to know how to source these gigs, who to talk to, who to connect with. What does your act look like? Like, are you presentable? Are you showing up? You're on time. And you got corporate gigs, and then you kind of have like backyard party gigs.
Yeah.
There's a big distinct difference when it comes to those. Or you find like the multi-billionaires that have mansions that just want to just throw the biggest
Show
party
off.
and just throw money at you to show up.
Yeah.
And then when you're like, well, it's time for us to leave, and they're like, wait a second, like,
Yeah.
pulls out, will you stay for a little bit longer, please? Sure, let me
Alright.
just hang out with you for a little bit.
Yeah.
So you can make some fairly good money. I mean, it definitely is a grind. I wouldn't say you would ever be financially free, but from my personal standpoint, I would say it's a phenomenal side hustle.
Yeah. And it is something, a couple of things you hit on that I think are very, very important for people to note is you said making the right connections. One common theme throughout all of entrepreneurship is your ability to network with individuals. The more you get out there, whether you are in like a performing arts type situation or even just in day-to-day business, it's essential that you surround yourself with the right set of people to make sure that you have opportunities, that you're in the right rooms. I was just listening to a piece of audio from a guy named, is it Jesse Eisner? Anyway, he was saying that how he literally, for lack of better words, like broke into a VIP room that he had no business being, and he snuck into this room because he knew that he had to be surrounded by the right people. So I fundamentally believe that in entrepreneurship, it's really about who you know. It's about the ability to open your mouth. It's about the ability to be able to say, this is what I do in an elegant fashion where they go, tell me more, right? And to create those connections. And so, yeah, I think absolutely this could be, the performing arts, very viable, but you have to be willing to put yourself out there, make the connections, talk to the event centers. Like when you came into our event center for the first time, you have to make sure there's proper rigging, right? If you're going to be hanging up your apparatuses, because that's a lot of weight. There's a variety of things you have to take into consideration to make sure you're safe, the guests are safe. And so, yes, a very viable side hustle. And yes, maybe in some of the bigger shows, can be financially free. But I would venture a guess it's kind of like all other athletics where it's, there's a lot of high school players and there's fewer college players and fewer pros, right? Like that's probably the same thing for that specific industry as well. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big distinct difference between a student and a
Yeah.
professional and elite performers. There's a huge big distinction, and that will also determine a huge scale in how much you get paid. Because if you can kind of go up and do a few tricks, but you got to come down off the apparatus to take a break, versus another person can stay up in the air for 40 minutes
Yeah.
and not even think about even coming down. They'll be up there. That's definitely a higher pay raise. The connection that they have with the audience, the way that they make you feel the feels. Because performing, like, it doesn't matter. You never know what you're going to see and how you're going to remember those exact skills, but you know what you're going to feel when you
Yeah.
look at them. And if you can make that eye connection with the crowd person, and they'll remember that for the rest of their life. That moment they were standing in the crowd and that performer turned and just smiled at them from high up in the sky, you'll remember that forever.
Yeah. I remember the first time we were up at the event at Chris's house, and I walked past the fire breathers, and it just like whoosh, right? Like just a big old flame is like fire coming right at you, and it's awe inspiring. It really, really is. Now you had
So
been doing this.
I got a question really
Yeah.
quick with that. So I mean, you talk about you have all these employees and things like that. If I want an employee, I go to ZipRecruiter, Indeed. I mean, how do you find talent like that, to come work with you? I mean, Indeed.com, who can do 50 backflips, and breathe out fire? I mean, how do you search for people like that?
So they wouldn't be considered even though employees. They'd probably be more independent contractors.
Yeah.
And that's the fun part about just reaching out and going to the studios, finding, and mostly it's a lot of the studios. What studios are around your city and your area? Going in, training, taking a couple of classes, getting connected with the people that are in the studios, and then also like you can't give me if my talent is way above yours, like you can't give me advice. So if you can show up, you can hold your own, you can show that you have a massive amount of skill, then you're going to start creating authority in that space. And then when someone comes around, you can be like, hey, like, do you want to do a gig? And they're like, well, I remember he pointed his toes. It was the best toe point I have ever seen. That's going to also help you determine who's a real big professional in that space.
What?
So being able to just know the studios and get connected with the people, providing an authority in that space, and you're the one that has the gigs.
Yeah. And that's 100% right. Like you, and it's really crazy how it does come down to some of those small fine-tuned movements, because those really are the things that even as an untrained person, just as somebody who's being entertained by the performers, you appreciate the detail and the minutia that goes into some of those different movements. It looks like Jimmy might be frozen a little bit. He's out and about, so we're just going to keep cranking through. So I know now that you showed up to you said, okay, listen, I got to get my mind right. You started diving in and educating yourself, which a lot of entrepreneurs just can't sit still, right? They have something that makes them drive and drive and drive, and they got to keep going. So you showed up to let's call it a mindset event that has a little bit of real estate to it.
Yeah.
But you showed up and you said, okay, I got to grab my next level. You heard about franchising. What was it so like when you heard about basically what made you take that leap? Because franchising can be quasi scary. You have to have a lot of things come into your life. There might be some small business loans. There might be a variety of things that you have to go through in order to secure a territory, a city, whatever. Talk to us a little bit about your franchise journey, because you're in a unique position where not only you own areas, but you've also owned individual stores. So talk to us about what did that feel like when you first, and why did you first decide to say maybe franchising?
I was sitting in the crowd. I've listened to phenomenal speakers go back and forth talking about real estate and double-digit ROI and commercial real estate and six-figure coaching and all these things. But then there was an elderly gentleman that popped on the stage, and he started talking about franchising. And then the main leader of the group says, if you want to go further faster, get into triple-digit ROIs, and that's going to take you from where you are, get into active income, and just that'll like sell you so much faster. So I heard triple digit ROIs, and I just was like, I flew back into my seat. I was like, let's hear about that triple digit ROI real quick.
Yeah.
So this elderly gentleman just started getting up there. He's been in franchising for 30 years, creates massive amount of success, being able to help develop territories for franchising. And I was just like, I want to do that. Like, that sounds so amazing. So I left the event. I got his phone number. Thank goodness. I just walked right up and I was like, just teach me. I was either I got his phone number or I set up a webinar call with him. I can't remember. But either way, I got his contact information. I came home, talked to him a little bit, and then I sat and I manifested on it so hard. I was like, okay, this is where we're at now. These are the steps that we can do. How do we get and become in his same position? It's an area representative, a franchise developer. You get to claim an entire state or multiple zip codes to develop that particular franchise. And that's what I did. So me and the wife, we sat down, we were like, okay, this is where we're at. We got property here, we got property here, we got our house here. Like, how do we pull these funds together? And we did it. We spoke to the franchisor, we spoke to the elderly gentleman, and we're like, hey, like, full cash, like, here you go. He's like, okay, like, let's do this. So we started developing a restaurant. It's called Melty. It's a little bit newer. We're on a healthy expansion rate. We have multiple locations. Yeah, multiple locations in Utah already, multiple locations outside of Utah. So it's on a great trajectory. The team is phenomenal, being able to be behind the scenes. They're in the store, they're grinding. But for me, I'm held to a development schedule, which for probably your average person is highly stressful, because if you don't produce, if you don't make the sales, if you don't find the people to open up these stores, we paid all those tens of thousands of dollars, hundred thousands of dollars, and we can get all that taken away from us in a blink of an eye if we do not produce. So we produce.
So what does your day-to-day look like then? So explain a little bit to people. You did a little bit. I forget, do you call it an area franchise or master franchise for the area?
So yeah, master franchisee is like the OG term, I guess you can say. The more appropriate term is an area representative.
Okay, so you're an area rep, and that means you have to go out, not only make sure that stores are operating properly, but you have to find people to say, hey, here's a really cool opportunity for you to open up an established business, right? How do you go about finding those people to say, hey, you're a hustler, this might be right up your alley?
It's not even an established business. This would be a full-fledged startup that these people would have to get into.
Okay.
Yes, we have the proven track record. You can come and you can visit our stores. You can try our food. You can see exactly the exact blueprint. Say, we'll hand you this full proven blueprint. If you want to come and you want to work with our team, we'll help you find the location, set up the operating procedures, teach you the ins and outs, show you the equipment. Here's the link. Click on the equipment. Like, these are the exact things you buy step by step. The way
Yeah,
that I
and by the way, it is Melty. You did drop that. It's Melty. The food is delicious. I've eaten there a handful of times. It is so good, and it does have. I happen to know the owner of Melty, and just an amazing gentleman. It is just absolutely a fantastic franchise to get into. If somebody is like listening and they say, "Hey, listen, I am done with the 9 to 5. I want to get into the restaurant biz." What does that process look like from a timing standpoint, from a cost standpoint, from a flat out hour standpoint, and are there still spaces available in Utah?
There are spaces available, limited space. We have a lot of people coming on board that, these people, they come in, they'll buy like 3, 4, 5 at a time and claim their territories, and then they build it out. But these are people that are professionals that have been in the restaurant space, that know franchising and know how to operate these positions.
Yep.
So no, it's not easy to leave your 9 to 5. You're going to switch the roles. You're an employee working for somebody else at a job or another restaurant. Now you switch the roles. Now you're a boss working at the restaurant that you own. At the beginning, you got to put in the work. You got to show up. You got to put your nose down. You got to have good leadership. You got to know how to run a tight ship. You got to be somebody that people want to follow, and they know that you're busy. You're the boss. You have things to do. Guide them, be there for them, show up for them, let them know you're there. Don't just leave the store and they just feel abandoned on an island. Yeah. You got to know that you're still there and be like, hey, like, we have this location. I'm going to do the same exact thing. Now I'm going to go do another location. Then I'm going to do another location.
So talk to me a little bit, because oftentimes when I see people pitching franchises, it is the American dream, right? It is show up, it's going to be passive, you're good to go. I'm going to call BS just a little bit on that because of what I know, but I think it is something you can eventually work towards. So what does that really look like for people who say, and they think they're just going to buy into a franchise and just drop the money down and then quit their 9 to 5, somebody else runs a franchise, and they just get to sit on the beach all day. Is that doable?
It is doable. Yes, it is possible, but you have to be the leader that people want to follow so that you can show up, you can put in the work, and find people that are reliable. That's the most important part, is getting a reliable team, taking care of them, making sure that they're heard, making sure they're well taken care of. Because people in the restaurant, I'm like, bro, you're so good at this. Why don't you own a restaurant? Well, I don't want to have to deal with that type of burden, that type of stress, that type of responsibility. So there are certain key players that are fit for all types of positions. Yeah. And it's just identifying which key players are going to be your team lead. Who's going to be the operations? Who's going to get paid very handsomely to be at that store, to run it, and go home and be with their family? Yeah. Versus being the boss, versus having all that weight of a store on top of you.
Now you talk about finding somebody who's going to be kind of your GM, right? Who's going to be that person who can help drive the business forward and be kind of your right-hand person. When you are looking at kind of employee expense, because that is always one of the biggest line items, the biggest expenses you have is going to be the employees in your business. What would you expect somebody in that position, your number 2, to be making?
It could vary. I just try to start them off at $60K a year, see how they go. And if it works out well, I have high confidence that they can get up to around 80K-ish. Okay. If the franchise does better, because the more that they're there, the more the store is producing, the more money that they'll end up making. Yeah. I know that there's probably some GMs out there that can probably get up to 100K a year. So it really just depends. And it just depends on how well the store is running. That's the most important part.
Yeah, so very viable, right? And I know that you guys do your due diligence to try to put stores in really good locations, high traffic locations, enough money in the area to support a business. Talk to me from a franchise standpoint, from a Melty standpoint. You guys, I know you're on a good trajectory, kind of as a global company. Things are going very, very well. Individually, if I said, hey, listen, I want to drop down money to buy a Melty, first and foremost, tell me, like, without building expenses, how much does a Melty franchise cost? And then tell me franchise cost plus building out your space. And then realistically, as the owner, the franchise owner, what can you expect to make, or when do you begin to recoup your cost in that investment?
So this is where I have to be careful.
Fair enough.
I could get in
Don't say
very
anything
big
that gets you in
legal
trouble.
trouble. I could get in legal trouble. I can't really tell you how much anybody's going to make out of a location.
Perfect.
That's
We accept
like,
that. We want to keep you
you
legal.
get your
Keep you
hands
legal.
chopped off real quick.
Yeah.
You're going to get thrown in the dumpster and shot behind the barn.
Don't want to do that. Don't want to do that.
Can I ask a question onto that then? So, and you might have talked about this before I got cut off, but so when you're opening a franchise, you said, you got the blueprint. If you go do everything that's in this book, you'll do well. Do when they get a franchise, do they get like, okay, if they have questions, they get to call you? And the ones that maybe say they bought the franchise and it didn't work out, is it because they didn't follow the blueprint? And the ones that do work out, are they the ones that are following the blueprint? If that makes sense.
Yeah, so I like that you talk about this. There has been such a bad rap when it comes to getting into franchises.
Yeah.
Like, you hear about the horrors of the franchise stories, and it all comes down, who's your leader? That's the number one most important part. Who's your franchisor and who's the team that's behind them?
Yeah.
Because some people just want to send you off the franchise and send you on your way. Maybe the training wasn't very good. Maybe the support isn't very good. That's why for me, I like being an area rep, because I'm on it. I connect with the franchisees multiple times a day. Sometimes I'm holding them accountable. I'm making sure that they're right there. I'm kind of probably more or less annoying, I guess you could say, but I'm there to make sure that they're on track and they're doing their due diligence. They're doing their duties. They are on track to be successful. Open in an appropriate time frame. How's your store running? Can I come in and I'm going to audit your store? Is it looking presentable? Like, sometimes when you're in there, you get kind of foggy eyed, but I can come in, I can be like, hey, like, come on, put your hat on. Like, you gotta represent the brand.
Yeah.
So so there are horror stories, but there are great success stories. Like, I know people that have 16 brands and they're on their way to dropping more millions of dollars acquiring the same brand because it's a great brand. So you just have to do your due diligence. Also, I don't want to say any names, but there are
What does it rhyme with?
Bumble. There are brands that come out too hot, I think too hot and too niche and too trendy, because I think sometimes with those trendy brands, or if it's too niche, you can't get past it. The trend's going to die eventually. It's going to fall off the bandwagon.
I think that's a really good point, because I actually did a little bit of a deep dive into Rumble, and I actually talked to a lot of former, I guess they still technically owned the stores, but they were losing significant amount of money, and it was very difficult to stay in business, and they were actually trying to unload their franchises. And so I think that's what would be, if somebody is contemplating a franchise, naturally we would say, hey, visit with Atreus, consider a Melty, right? Like, first and foremost, we can speak very, very eloquently to that. But what are the questions you'd want to ask when you're considering something else? Because there's a lot of brands that you can actually get into for pretty cheap, and it's not all restaurants, by the way. I mean, there are like massage places. I've seen trash can cleaning services that are like, I've seen a variety of different things in our franchises. What are some, like, if you had to say, here's the 3 questions you should ask if you want to get into a franchise? What do those sound like?
Well, also, what's kind of crazy, I don't know if these statistics hold true to today. Franchising can occupy about 10% of the market right now, but they can pull in almost 50% of the sales that's out there. That's huge. It's because they're everywhere. They're all over the place. And I think it really just depends. Like, you really want to, I think that if you get into a franchise, it needs to be able to serve all and not just some people. Like, it needs to be family friendly. I need to be able to bring the family there. I need to be able to bring my friends there, and I also need to be able to accommodate the teenagers on their weekends.
Yeah.
So, but when you get into like fitness and stuff, like fitness is really good. It is getting quite abundant out there. There's a lot of fitness places. So I think you just have to be able to identify what you're good at, what is a need in the market, also what's available, and what are your goals. Like, that's number one. Like, working at a Chick-fil-A, probably not going to get in there, but you have to be there more than full time.
Yeah.
Through and through. Like, there's no days off. So, and it's cheap to get into, but it'll suck away all your time. So what's available, who's it going to serve, how am I going to help other people? Also, home services. I got a couple of home services brands that I connect with, and that's great because there's so many millions of homes that still need to be developed, commercial properties, apartments. If you can get into a home service niche, that's going to be that's a home run right there too.
Yeah. No, I love that. So I don't want to eat up all your night because we could talk about all your different ventures very easily.
We're just hanging out.
Yeah, I do want to get into a couple of things because since I've talked to you last, you're actually beginning to start a health and wellness brand. And I would love for you to talk about what that looks like. And then just so you know, kind of as a spoiler alert, I do know that you have a really great mindset component to you as well. So I do want to eventually flow into some mindset and how we can get our minds right as entrepreneurs to take those big steps, to crush some of those limiting beliefs and say, you know what, like this might be scary, but I can do this thing. So that'll be coming up in just a minute. But first, let's talk kind of your health and fitness journey. By the way, if you guys haven't seen him with his shirt off, and I don't say this very weirdly, like you can't tell because he's got his coat on, but he's ripped. He's huge. And puts a ton of time into it. And so talk to me about kind of your health journey and then the products that you're working on in your brand.
Yeah, I mean, health has been a thing on my mind, I think, since the beginning of time. I mean, obviously when we're teenagers, like you can just endure anything. You just eat whatever you want and it's fine. But then once you get older, you realize that our bodies are so sensitive.
Yeah.
And what I think is so fascinating, just because it worked for me, it doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. I'm a full believer in that through and through. I have so much data that I've already collected to back that up to the end of time right now. Even just for the past few years, what works for me is not going to work for you. So it's a personal battle that everyone needs to endure. And I'm even working on just like a few things for myself, you know, like, because I believe so strongly in taking care of your well-being. If I hear somebody that's not taking care of themselves, I have to hold myself back because I find myself caring too much to where I don't know if it's good for me to try to step into their realm to try to fix what they're doing, because that'll just suck up all your energy. And instead, if they're not ready, you can't step on their toes. You can't insert yourself in that space. If they didn't ask, I probably shouldn't even be giving advice in the first place. So it's a big subject. It gets me a little emotional. I believe that everyone deserves to be happy, healthy, strong, fit, because we're all capable. We're all more than capable. But getting into so that's another reason why we started this brand called Atrubein. Atrubein. True being, because we're all true beings. We all deserve better products than what's put out on the shelf that's just thrown out there. There's no rhyme nor reason. Just because somebody says it's good for you, I mean, and it's not harming you right away, but like, what are the long-term effects? Yeah. Like, how is it really affecting your day-to-day? And have you tried something different to try to see how you feel and can make that comparison? So that's why we started a brand, personal care products. It's all natural and organic soaps, utility oils, good for your skin and your hair, beef tallows. That's now the hugest trend right now.
Yeah,
all the celebrities are coming out nowadays saying, hey, like, that's why I stepped in the fountain of youth. I just rubbed beef fat on my face. So I've been able to team up with some of the best chemists in the industry, and the development of the products that they've made are small batch, made with love, pure ingredients that when you rub it on your skin, you know that there's a big distinct difference in how it makes you feel, even in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool stuff. Here's kind of one of the,
Yeah, drop the
this is,
product, man.
yeah, this is our beef tallow.
Nice.
It's pretty
That's
cool.
beautiful packaging.
Yeah, I mean, we do all like laser engraving. It's the flower of life because, we believe everyone's all connected. We're all connected, some energetic source.
For sure.
You walk into the room, you got a bad attitude, everyone's gonna know. You walk into the room, you're electric and you're ready to go. It's just gonna leak off onto you. So there's just no data short that's not going to prove that that's not true.
Yeah.
So being able to stay connected, give out positive ingredients, give good advice, show up to the gym every single day, even if you're freaking tired. I mean, don't kill yourself, but just gotta take care of yourself, man. It's important.
Well, and there's a ton of joy. So Jimmy and I actually, beyond being neighbors, Jimmy and I show up to the same gym, the same time, same insane hour every single morning. And it's really, really fun for me, not only to connect with Jimmy on a neighborly level, but also to watch one of my business partners who's actively taking care of his body every single day. And almost every day, Jimmy and I will get our workouts in even separately, but then we touch base before we leave with each other to say, hey, I see you, I appreciate you. And it's just a really cool community and Jimmy's been going to this gym longer than I have. And to watch Jimmy know all of the people that are also insane like us and get there at 4 a.m. But Jimmy knows all the people, and it's really cool to see this connection that we've created. And you can see the light emanating for people who are doing their best to take care of themselves. I think one thing that's important is Jimmy and I, we lift the very same weights, but our bodies look very, very different. And so today I heard something on social media that resonated so much with me because we frequently will compare perhaps, like, let's be honest, the things people put on social media is usually their best, right? And we're watching social media at our worst. And so we're frequently like comparing our worst to other people's bests. And it is killing me because that is not fair for us as human beings to say, I should compare myself to Jimmy because Jimmy's at the gym completely ripped. I had a bad day at the gym. And so like, I'm not as good as Jimmy, and it spirals me, right? And my hope for everybody, after I heard that this morning, it just really hit me because comparison is just a thief of joy. And we compare ourselves and we just get so down because, damn it, dang it. I guess I can swear online. But I'm comparing my best to Jimmy's worst, and that's not fair. And that's one thing that I really appreciate you about Atreus is you bring a lot of love in life, and there's room for everybody. And Jimmy and I have been stepping into a place of abundance where we realize, and we talked about this a few podcasts ago, kind of teasing at the people who just show up at the gym on January 1st, right? And they only last for 6 weeks and then they quit. And people at the gym seem to get annoyed. But Jimmy and I have come to a new realization that it's like, you know what? They have every right to be there and work on themselves as much as we do. And just because they happen to show up at the new year, if that's the catalyst towards them making a better life for themselves, so be it. I think we have to be much more tolerant about people who are trying, right? Jimmy looks way different in the gym than I do. I look way different than somebody else does. But we are all there trying to be the best version of ourselves. And so I really appreciate that your brand stands for all beings are welcome and loved and appreciated. And let's just be a kind of human race, human population to people. And so I love that. I love that about you. Your inclusivity is awesome. I do want to transition that just a little bit into mindset. Walk me through kind of some of your mindset journey, because certainly at different points, and even over the 3 or 4 years that I've known you, I've seen your mindset shift just completely. I've seen you step into events. I've seen you take on leadership roles and everything. So when you say, hey, listen, I went out and got a franchise, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because your brain and your mental state just grows and grows and grows. Your ideas for what are possible grow and grow and grow. And you're somebody who says, yeah, I'm comfortable right now. That means I am stuck. I need to get uncomfortable, right? And you make that change. So walk me through some of your mindset practices, your principles that you use to beast yourself into Atreus.
Wow. Here we go. Are you ready for another 2 hours?
Rip it off. Rip it off.
No, man. I mean, mindset. And one thing that I don't appreciate, there's such of a thing called toxic positivity.
Okay.
I think is a thing. And I don't appreciate that. And I've had to come to my terms. And sometimes you do it without even knowing. Like being connected with Christy and some of the challenges that we've had to go through over the last couple of years, just think positive and it's gonna all pan out. Well, sometimes just thinking positive, you know, sometimes it doesn't pan out and you still feel you're still carrying that weight that just sits inside of your chest or your
Yeah.
gut. And I can sit there and I can be like, okay, I'm just trying to think positive. I'm trying to think. There has to be a sort of release. There has to be, our body holds on to so much emotion, so much tension, so much, yeah, emotion and tension. And if there's not a form of release, then just thinking that way is not going to make you feel any better.
Yeah.
So being able to find a ritual, like I love breath work. I'll cry every single time. I'll allow it to, even if I don't even hold on to a lot, but something will come into my mind and allow me just to cry it out. And it happens every single time. You know, and I've done the cold plunges, you know, they're pretty fun. But just finding, I think it's just a sense of routine. I like my best way for me, and everyone's going to be different. I go to the gym, I eat good healthy food. I like to talk about my healthy food and what it's doing for my body. I do say a lot of affirmations. And when I am feeling down, I do a sense of breath work. That's literally the baseline. But I'm not always have been like this. Like I would have such a when I was a teenager and I was 20, like crazy weird thoughts like that just comes out of nowhere and you hold on to it and you compare and you beat yourself down and you go to work and then you get frustrated and flustered. So I remember there was one time I was in a crazy house with not the best people living in this house, staying up till 5 a.m. in the morning, sleeping all day and keeping me up all night. I had to leave the chaos and I sat on the roof for probably about 3 hours. And I just sat there and I cried. And I just, you know, I'm a very spiritual individual. So being able to just gaze up into the sky and ask questions, that's when your body comes and it feels this sense of vibration to where there's probably more than what's out there. So being able to be connected, what now I call my higher being, to be able to guide me through time and space. And you know, you have your intuition, you gotta connect with that when you walk in there and you're just like, oh, maybe I shouldn't go that way, maybe I shouldn't do that. Being able to tap into intuition and step into your higher consciousness and your higher mind that's, you know, orbiting around this earth was such a sense of relief for me, because then I'm like, oh, I don't have to do it all by myself all the time. There is something that's guiding me. There is something that's pushing me. There is something in a sense that's out there that I can call upon when I do need it.
Yeah.
And being able to sit with myself in the midst, my mom calls it the red room. Can you be inside the red room but remain completely calm? And I think sitting in that house, going to that roof, I was able to find that space and be like, okay, like that's not my life. I need to call upon something that's greater than myself, someone to kind of just point me in the right direction of where I needed to go. And then I left that community. Getting out of that community, getting in, even just being by yourself for a few years to work on yourself, whatever that looks like. I mean, I like being able to talk about mindset and be like, well, you know, what is your daily routine? But it's going to be different for everybody. But the things that I do know that have worked for me is eat the best foods, move my body, take time for myself, and find things to work on. Be productive. If you can accomplish tasks, someone's going to say, how do you be confident? Start accomplishing things.
Yeah.
And then when you can accomplish tasks, your confidence will build and everything will change.
Yeah, I
So
100% agree. I actually am reading this book right now that's called Manifest. It's by Roxy Nafusi. It's a fantastic book because what it talks about, because I do believe people think that when you start talking about manifesting, it's always like you just, like you said, you just say something and start to think it, whatever, and like all of a sudden it's going to come to you. But one thing that I really resonate with manifesting is there is a certain element of work that is involved with that. You need to your point, you need to move. You have to take action. You have to do the things. Certainly there are ways that can super like fast track that. You can make sure you have vision boards. You can make sure you're giving gratitude, because listen, if you're in a bad mood, you start listing out the things that you're grateful for, and all of a sudden you'll go, oh, life is actually pretty good. right? When you started saying, I am super grateful for all these things. I showed Jimmy this the other day. I actually carry around with me a little book in my back pocket that every day I journal at the end of the night. I write down all the things that were awesome, that were good, that happened to me that day. And then I make sure I write my goals, my long-term goals in there so that I can continually think and feel about those goals, right? That they're always just right here on my heart, right here in my head, so that I'm always trying to manifest. And I'll tell you what, the more and by the way, I also have an alarm that goes off at 8:50 every morning. And this is super vulnerable, but it basically says good things happen to me. And I repeat that mantra in the morning, good things happen to me. And I start to envision all the good things happen to me. And it is asinine the amount of awesome things that have happened since I started doing that. It's, and it's simple things. It's like free meals, it's extra money coming my way. I won a pudding contest at work that I had no business winning. It's just like that had a cash prize with it, right? It's just all these cool things begin to happen in your life because you're actively working on yourself and trying to manifest the good things. And so for me, guys, if you ever feel like you're in a funk, start listing out the things you're grateful for. And that will so quickly change your vibration. That will change your state of being because now you're in an element of giving and gratitude instead of sulking and just being super, super frustrated with life. And so, yeah, I'm a huge believer and I love it. I've been in the mindset realm probably for the last 4 or 5 years. I kind of had the same mentor you did, Atreus, in helping me kind of get to a better spot mentally. But it is a constant struggle. It's a constant game that you play to maintain in a good spot. And sometimes you're going to have bad days, and that's okay. Like, nobody's perfect. You just move on, right?
Well, I love the bad days, and there's something that you said there too. Like you wake up and you manifest good things happen to me, good things happen to me. But one distinct thing that you did is you went out into the world to allow good things to happen to you.
Yep.
I can sit here on my couch and manifest all day long, but if I'm not moving, if I'm not taking those systems and putting into action and getting out there and going and experiencing life, nothing's good to get. I mean, what do you got? A couple extra hours of rest sitting on your couch? Like that's not a good way to manifest.
Yeah.
You got to get out there, move your body, go experience, bump into other beings that are out there, and let the good things flow. So, action, movement, manifestation, writing down, creating systems, creating plans, and going off and experiencing the world. That's when manifestation happens.
Yeah, and one really cool thing, Jimmy, that Atreus and his wife Christy did not long ago is they took. It's probably been a little longer than I think, but I remember watching you guys take this epic trip over to Thailand. Right? Was it Thailand you guys went to? And it was just such a beautiful. They shared their experience online through social media, and it was really cool to watch. And I don't know if before you came into like the kind of the mindset component of your life before you came into the manifestation, if you ever thought, you know what, I'm going to go to Thailand, or if things became possible for you because you said, I'm in a better place, surrounded by the right people, getting my mind right. And now I realize that this is the life of abundance. I can have it, you can have it, we can all experience this thing. And so it just was a beautiful thing to watch you guys come to that realization, to have that, to accomplish that, and just go. It was really, really cool.
Well, I love that you said that because if anybody finds himself in a funk and you can do it, buy the plane ticket and go somewhere. Go to a different country. Like we just got back from Norway. I thought Thailand was great, but Norway was on a whole other level.
That's awesome.
Of just mystery and magic. It was extraordinary. So if anybody ever finds himself a funk, just buy the plane ticket, go on a travel. Experiencing a whole new world will change your perspective on everything that you have when you come back home, and you'll see everything in a completely new light. Or you'll probably just want to go and Google property that's in Norway and just probably try to buy it and then just get out of town.
Jimmy and I are travel junkies, and so we're always. Matter of fact, Jimmy's going to China in a minute. We're travel junkies, and so it's definitely in our blood. Jimmy, I'm going to come to you in just a second for the mental health moment and any other questions you might have for Atreus. But Atreus, I do always ask. I have to ask. It just eats at me. One of my favorite questions, and you can look at any one of your businesses that you're running or you've been a part of. What's like a dirty little secret in one of your industries that nobody knows about?
A dirty little secret in one of my industries that nobody knows about?
Or that you just kind of sweep under the rug and hopefully nobody finds out about it.
It's a crazy question.
We're crazy.
Okay, a dirty little secret in one of my industries. Well, I'm trying to tie that back to the circus because the circus is crazy.
That's what secretly. That's what I'm hoping for.
You meet so many crazy people in the circus industry.
Do they sing
People,
songs with beards and say, "This is me"?
People are very open, physically in the circus space. They
okay.
love everybody. Like you come in, and like I wouldn't even say like if you put it on like an inappropriate space, but just even like on a physical touch, like you probably won't be touched as much until you get in the circus space. You'll get hugged. You get hands all over you. They're doing tricks. You're getting thrown. Maybe you might even get a kiss at the end of the night because somebody really liked you. So
Okay.
it's just an astronomical space full of great love.
Okay.
I can tell you that.
I love that. I love that. So,
Yeah.
if for some reason physical touch is not one of your love languages, maybe don't do that thing.
Because consent is most important, and the way they'll preach it because it is. I think it's because it is so open. They
Yeah.
also understand that that's not everybody's love
Yeah.
language.
Well,
So
and truthfully, sorry to cut you off. Truthfully, when you watch some of the like the different things you guys do, the different moves, it's like even worst case scenario when you're trying to save somebody that you're holding and they're falling and you have to grab them, like
you
your
get
odds are you're going to grab something that probably shouldn't be grabbed, right? So
you get
like
very comfortable with the
yeah,
body, and everyone understands there's a mutual respect. But love is all about the circus. Consent is all about the circus. It's just very open. You meet all different types of shapes, sizes, people, ethnicities, different belief systems. It's a incredibly diverse space.
I,
But
I love that.
some of the best of friends I met in the circus, and I would never trade them out for anybody, just because how good and open how great they make you feel.
I love it. I love it. Jimmy, any other questions for Atreus?
I'm just wondering, when I go to the circus, should I wear a sign or a shirt that says "Yes, I consent" or "Yes, I don't consent"?
Yes, you consent, because then your
Okay.
whole life will change for the rest of your life.
All right. Good to know.
All for the better. Well, listen, before Jimmy, we turn it over. Atreus, we always end. So I believe you know this, but if you don't, Jimmy actually owns counseling centers all up and down the Wasatch Front. Very
Hey,
successful. Has been in the industry for decades. And so we always end our podcast with a mental health moment by Jimmy because we want everybody to be in a good headspace and to feel at least a little bit of love when they leave our podcast. Our podcast. If they haven't felt love today, we want to be that source of love for them. But before we do that, Atreus, if people want to get a hold of you for for franchising, for circus stuff, for health products, how can they get a hold of you?
yep, I'm on most social platforms. Facebook, just Atreus Trygg. It'll probably be me sitting in a giant Viking chair. You can also reach us if you want to buy any products, Atrubeinproducts.com. You can reach me on TikTok at Atreus Trygg, or if it's on Instagram, that's Find Your Acrobat.
Okay, so multiple ways to reach out. There's zero reasons not to go out and get some of his products, to learn more about him, to have him come talk to you about mindset. He is there to help, to uplift and edify. I hope you guys have felt of his love. If for nothing else, and you are a corporation specifically, pay them to come entertain your people. It is just an amazing experience, second to none. With his group, I've seen fire dancers, fire breathers, snake charmers, silk, I've seen it all. It's just all beautiful and amazing. So make sure you look them up. Jimmy, we're going to turn the time over to you for our mental health moment.
Perfect. I did have one, but I'm going to change it up just a little bit. Just with the conversation that was said today, you said something about we can have too much toxic positivity. And do you know what? I love that because it's more of a challenge. When you are having those hard moments, you don't have to keep saying, it's a good day. Take some moments, notice those thoughts, notice just the sadness you might feel, notice the anxiety you might feel, recognize it. We just live in a world that is ignore. It's still there. Recognize it, notice it, you can name it, and then it's okay after that to be like, okay, now I'm going to look for some things that are positive. Don't ignore it, notice it, and when you notice it, you name it, and it's a part of you, then life is a little bit better.
I love that.
Boom.
Jimmy, thank you so much for sharing that with us. So, Trey, thank you for spending the last hour. That just flew by for me. We could probably go many, many more. But thank you for being with us. Thank you for knowledge dropping. Thank you for being you and bringing light to the world. Jimmy, thank you for all of your amazing knowledge and inspiration. Until next time, guys, we'll see you later.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.